Navy Federal is not a good bank for business. I want a bank that gives me all the benefit, high limits, great rewards, 0% interest, right? Because that buys me time as a business owner to get my business up and running where I pay 0 interest. And on top of that, I get the rewards so I can travel for free. On top of that, I got the high limits. The only benefit, which most people don't even, might go over their heads, is that Navy Federal.
My audience, they love to know any changes that happen, especially with Navy Federal. But you said that Navy Federal is making some major changes, especially in their business section of things. So what changes are they making right now?
Well, let me just make this unpopular opinion because I know I'm going to get hated on. Navy Federal is not a good bank for business. Number one, I'm going to explain why. When I got approved for their card, their threshold was only $35,000 without documentation. That's not good. I just talked about Chase, how you can get 50, 60, 70,000, right? On one card. Their threshold was $35,000 on all businesses. So that's not good. I have the card. I don't like it. Number two, their benefits, their reward points are terrible. They're terrible. Number three, they don't have 0% interest like Chase does, or even Bank of America, or Wells Fargo, or American Express, right? Number four, now, again, this was years ago. They're not now currently, they are asking for your tax returns. They're asking for P&L. And if they do approve you, they give you $5,000. What are you going to do with $5,000? You can't do anything with $5,000.
Yeah.
And then they have business lines of credit that you need to provide all this profit and loss statement, 2 years tax returns, business tax returns, personal tax returns. They're just not again, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments, but trust me, you got to think about this. I want a bank that gives me all the benefit, high limits, great rewards, 0% interest, right? Because that buys me time as a business owner to get my business up and running where I pay 0 interest. And on top of that, I get the rewards so I can travel for free. On top of that, I got the high limits. The only benefit, which most people don't even, might go over their heads, is that Navy Federal business credit card is what we call a ghost card. They don't report to personal or business credit. Right. A lot of business credit cards are starting to report to the business credit bureaus. But the only benefit for Navy Federal, other than that, there is no other benefit. They don't have 0%. Their reward system is trash. Their credit limits are not good. Credit limit increases are a hard pull. Chase is not a hard pull for a credit line increase. It's just not good. Like and now they're asking for documentation. 2024, I have a group of over 1,000 members, and now they're telling me all these data points where, hey, I applied for the Navy Fed business credit card. They're asking for tax returns for a business credit card. Hey, I got approved, but they only give me $5,000, right? This wasn't the case 4 years ago, but that's why I'm not a big fan personally of Navy Federal. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments.
Yeah. If you're looking to get funding for your business with no minimum credit score required, this includes term loans, equipment finance, and even fix and flip loans as well. To learn more, scan this QR code or click the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Now, you know what? I'm glad you talked about it though, Toby, because, or I would say we don't do, well, not an 850 club, but I think that what a lot of YouTubers do, especially YouTubers or people that's in social media, they'll keep talking about certain things as if things are the best. And just so we're clear, we're not saying it's not a great account to have. It's not a great credit union to be with, but you have personal and then you have business. Right. And I truly believe that majority, obviously, of accounts, usually for any bank, is usually more personal than business. But let's be honest, Navy Federal, no one necessarily says, okay, I'm going to do all of my business with Navy Federal. And you're just simply saying, hey, there are banks that have better perks if they have business accounts, essentially, with these other banks as well, too. So we can't be like everybody else in the sense of, hey, they're the best, when let's compare it. And it may not be the best, especially for business needs. And just so we're clear, guys, two things I want you guys to understand. Toby is not your post-COVID entrepreneur. What I mean by that is that's where people say, you know what? Forget everything. I'm going to start a business. He owns a restaurant. He has other business ventures as well, too. He's also obviously a part of a group where other people are following this advice and they're getting approved. So he's not just saying, hey, this is my situation. This is just my P&L. And then this is my approval based on that. This is him saying, hey, listen, this is based on the people I've also showed how to do this as well, too. And they're getting approved. And which is great because everybody's profile is different. And you're able to say, okay, now we have a worst case scenario. We have a best case scenario. We have an average, So man, that's some great information as well, too. But I don't think hey, people always have, how they feel about Navy Federal. But again, this is from a business standpoint,
Right.
you know, as well too. And
Just
you
like you
talked about
said,
that ghost card. Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm
no,
sorry. Go ahead.
just like you said, like there's personal and it is business. I'm
Yeah.
talking specifically for business.
That's right.
It's just not good. I mean, like you said, pros and cons.
Yeah.
Pros, it's a ghost card. That's really it.
Yeah.
The pros, I mean, the con is no 0%, no rewards, no high limits. Now they're asking for docs, very low limits across all businesses. So you
Yeah.
can't reallocate the limits.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too many cons.
Yeah.
So
You know, another thing too is it wasn't always like that. So that's another thing people got to understand. This is how we feel based on right now, because that's what's happening right now.
Right.
But also people have to also understand, because things were so much like talked about so much, a lot of people join. And anytime you get a lot of people in something, that's not a bad thing, but the filter's not the same. It's not the same type of clientele. Some people specific go to certain banks specifically to get a certain amount of money with no intentions on paying. And so because of that, let's be honest, Toby, like that's what people are doing. And that's why they're asking for documentation.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's what happened. People ruined Navy Fed for exactly that. Now they did something, changing the interest rates on how they're charging the interest rates now, because I forget how many billions they charged off because people were delinquent on their accounts. They're not paying their bills because they go in there with that wrong mindset.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna get the money and never pay it back. I'm gonna get some money and never pay it. You burn that bridge. And that's why I mentioned earlier, I don't know how long Chase is gonna have that ability to get those high limits, because once I say this information or once other YouTubers say this information, people go in there with the wrong mindset, gonna get 50, 70,000 and never paying back. That's the wrong mindset. And then it ruins it for everybody else. But yeah, people got to change their mindset and try to stop trying to run away with the plug.
That's right, man. Listen, this is exactly why we have Toby on. At least we got to have you on quarterly, man.
For sure, I'm ready.
For real, man. Just because, you know, and again, because you bring an honest opinion, and it's not like, hey, this is just my thoughts. This is, hey, this is what's going on right now. And compared to all these banks, because this isn't just about Chase or Navy Federal. It's like, hey, this is what's working right now. This is what's the best option right now. And it just so happens to be X bank. Okay. I want everyone to understand that. So, but again, Toby talks about all this stuff on his YouTube channel. So make sure you guys go ahead and check that out as well. Now, obviously, this has been a popular topic even right before COVID hit as well, too. And I'm saying that because in the last few years, it's been so many people kind of talking about, I won't say the same things, but more so just popular topics in general. But it's still good for people to know this type of information, and that is business credit card stacking. Now, people talk about credit card stacking and, a lot of different ways. I know people that's got 50 plus credit cards, things of that sort. But, why would a person consider business credit card stacking? And then, of course, what's the best way to start to do it?
Yeah. So why would they consider it is to get multiple products with very low inquiries and try to get an amount of let's say 30, 40, 50,000 in one particular round, what we call a round of funding. So I want to simplify it, right?
Yeah.
All business credit stacking is just a set of applications with a set of banks, and where they pull from, what bureau, and then you do it in a sequence where you limit the inquiries on your credit report, right? So oh, this bank, Chase, pulls from Experian, PNC pulls from Experian, so you can do three applications with 3 banks that pull from Experian, or 3 banks that pull from Equifax, or 3 banks that pull from TransUnion. You want to limit the inquiries. You try to get as many applications as you can, and you need to know the sequence. You need to know which banks are inquiry sensitive, which banks are new account sensitive, things like that. So it's just a set of applications in a short amount of time to get the highest approvals and the lowest inquiries. That's the easiest way I can explain it.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So now let's say, for example, obviously a person's doing this for business credit. Is there ever a limit that you would just have a recommendation that people not try to do? I know you mentioned 3 applications within a set period of time. Is there a maximum that you think people should kind of keep an eye on so they don't do it, make a mistake on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a maximum.
Okay.
I would say first you need to know, like I just mentioned, which bank pulls from which bureau, right? Which bank is inquiry sensitive. So it doesn't matter if you have 5 inquiries, they'll still approve you because they're not inquiry sensitive. So you just need to know these, what we call data points. You need to know these data points from these banks before you apply. You can just applies to as many as you can. And if you get denied, you can still remove that inquiry, so it doesn't really affect you. But to answer your question, I wouldn't say there is a maximum, because at the end of the day, the goal is to try to get as many applications submitted all at once or in this particular sequence to try to get the max amount of approvals in that short amount of time.
Got you. Got
Yep.
you. Man, we greatly appreciate you dropping the gems, today per usual, because again, people are looking for business funding, business credit approvals. Now they know more about the business relationship managers, things of that sort. And let me tell you something. If you guys like this interview, you most definitely going to like the previous ones that we've done as well too. Some of that information is still accurate to this day because banks, they change things all the time based on the economic climate, based on, obviously things that are going on in general. And, it has to make sense for them. And so, but when you have to understand something, when a lot of people do something and it's just like not going the way that they want it to or the expected result, then they're going to change things. And as they should, because
Right.
the clients, the consumers change, So trust me, banks want you to know this information because they want to make the money.
Right.
That's
Yep. It's all about money.
It's all about money, man. So if Chase Bank did a video on this, nobody will watch it, So that's the thing, man, because it'll come off like a promotion or something, So, but either way, man, listen, thanks again for stopping by the channel. We greatly appreciate you dropping the gems as usual. Is there anything or any last comments that you want to leave before we get out of here today?
Just so we're clear, I don't hate Navy Federal. I just hate Navy Federal for business. That's all I got to say.
There you go. And that's right now, because that could obviously change,
right.
But here's the thing, guys. And we talked about this. I want you all to think about it like this. Don't get caught up in the name.
Right.
Get caught. No, make sure that the terms make sense. The conditions makes. Yeah, it's got to make sense. And I'll give you guys a perfect example. Look at what we buy now from Amazon. Everybody watching this, look at what you buy from Amazon now. Back in the day, I'll go back 20, 30 years ago. Don't get me wrong, and brand name still matters. But back in the day, some of you guys were like, listen, I'm only buying a cassette player if it's a Sony Walkman. I'm only going to buy a TV if it's Samsung, right? We were loyal. We were loyal to these brands. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with brand loyalty. But now look at what Amazon has introduced you to. It says, hey, look at this product. It's in the price point that you want it. Look at the ratings. It has everything that you want, better terms, better conditions. And it's a brand you haven't heard of before, but everyone's happy. You're more than likely going to go from that. I mean, look, the last 20 things I bought from Amazon, probably 2 or 3 things are name brand, versus brands that are now just growing in general. My point is don't get caught up in what everybody else is doing, or don't get caught up in what it seems popular. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's going to be best for you and your business. I think that's the best way to say it. All right. But thanks again, Toby. We greatly appreciate you being here, man. Thanks again. Okay.
Appreciate you.